Today's episode is brought to you by Miss Mary Jane's. I've been using these guys for all my CBD needs for a few years now, and I can't say enough great things about them and the products. It's veteran owned and locally grown, and right now they have just dropped the CBD Dreams Sleep Oil. And if you're anything like me, you have a hard time going to sleep and staying to sleep. So give it a try. Give them a follow on Instagram at MMJ underscore California or order directly from the website MissMaryJanesEdibles.com. So that's Miss spelled out MISS, MaryJanesEdibles.com. Thanks and take care. Enjoy the episode. Hey everyone, welcome again to another episode of In Between Rounds. I am Steven Diaz, and today I am joined with the great Jon Fitch. Jon, how are you doing today, sir?
Good. I'm good. Shot some arrows at the range. Did a little hike. Feeling good.
Nice, nice. It is a great day. Are you in SoCal right now, or where are you at
No,
currently?
I'm in
NorCal?
San Jose, NorCal.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's a beautiful day outside. Clouds are putting on a show
It
for
it
sure.
was raining a little bit this morning, and it actually even hailed a little
Oh,
bit
wow.
yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. All right. Well, so as you know, with the show, we like to let the fans get to know you as a person. It's the whole concept of In Between Rounds. We want to get to know Jon Fitch for you and hear your story of how you became to be the man that you are today. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you take the wheel, brother. You can start wherever you want to.
Oh man, where do I want to?
Yes,
I don't
sir.
even know.
As young as you want to. Usually we start out with
Well, I
kind
mean,
of
I
where
grew
you
up.
found your first gym.
Yeah, well, I grew up in the Midwest, and I think that's important. A lot of manual labor work with the family. Even though my dad was an engineer, we did a lot of work on the weekends. We didn't
Mm,
have a ton of money, but we weren't going hungry either. We were lower middle class, and then as we aged into high school, upper middle class. Um, but I learned early about hard work. When things broke down or you needed to remodel a house or something like that happened, you called family, and everybody chipped in and kind of did things together. Um, so like I put a lot of value and respect and associate a lot of good positive things with just the hard work, just doing hard work, just knowing,
definitely.
okay, well, though, man, this thing happened with the weather and now we have to dig this ditch or otherwise there'll be flooding. And like just having fun with the fact that you're digging a ditch and like you have to do it because you're going to be better off digging the ditch. I don't
Yeah.
know. That was just the way we did it.
You feel like that's kind of becoming somewhat of a lost art as you get a little older?
I mean, when I moved to California, I got a lot of weird looks because it was like, why are you doing this yourself? Why aren't you calling
Yeah.
somebody to do that for you? Like I was like the only white guy in my neighborhood mowing my lawn. Like I was the only like nobody
Yeah.
else paid it. I was like, why do I like my house. I liked my house, and I took pride in taking care of it. Like when we were kids, we took pride in taking care of our stuff. So
Yeah,
I don't
definitely.
know. It's just weird to me, like always just pass the buck to somebody else to take care of your shit.
Yeah, I've been doing my best lately. I'm not the oldest, but as I got older, I did realize kind of the value of knowing how to fix things, what to fix, what to do. You don't have to call anyone. I relied heavily on other people for quite some time until I just kind
I
of thought,
believe there's a real therapeutic um process to like taking care of your own shit.
mm,
I think a lot of people maybe who suffer from a lot of anxiety and those type of issues don't do enough of their own stuff.
definitely, yeah, yeah,
There's a lot.
definitely. So
I think there's just a lot because we're animals when it comes down to it. So like if we can replicate survival things and things like building or something that's going to add value to our life, I think that's more beneficial to us on a biological level.
and what age did you move out here to California? Were you into wrestling, anything like that back when you were
Yeah, I
out back there?
started wrestling in the fourth grade. I was about 9 years old. I was only doing half seasons up until junior high because I was also playing basketball and basketball
Okay.
until Christmas break, and then after Christmas break, I would go and wrestle, and I did basically 2 months of each until junior high, and then that was full time wrestling. But my focus was football. My focus was always football because I was going to be a pro football player. So I was
Yeah.
always lifting and working out. Wrestling itself was supplemental because I needed to do something during the wintertime to stay in
Hmm.
shape for football season. So it was the best thing. I thought it was better than basketball for staying in shape for wrestling for football season. So
Now, when we're talking football, what positions are we talking about?
middle linebacker and tailback. Although our senior year, we got a coach who wanted to platoon, which means he only wanted us to play one way,
Okay.
which was really dumb because we had like 22 to 25 seniors on the team that year, and we'd all been playing together and win a lot of games for a long time. And he's like, "Oh no, we're gonna put the best players on the bench when the other side's going because we had a sophomore who's gonna play that position full time and he'll be better." And it didn't work out that way.
Okay. Yeah. A little bit of
A
changing going on.
senior,
Yeah.
for any coaches out there, a senior who's awesome playing both ways is better for your team than a senior playing one side of the ball and then a sophomore starting at that senior's position on the other side.
Yeah. Especially in high school, I don't ever really see,
I guess like
you
two or
know,
3 years of like development and maturity, like just
yeah,
like blown off the line of scrimmage. Like it's
yeah.
just, yeah.
I grew up with guys like, yeah, like you're saying, they were starting running back, but they were also starting safety at the same time. You know what I mean? They work both sides of the ball just as good.
And they were like leading tackles and
Yeah.
interceptions and yardage and touchdowns. So
Yeah.
like stupidity. But
Yeah. If it ain't
whatever.
broke,
I feel
don't
like
fix it,
I feel like
brother.
I had half of my senior year of football stolen from me.
Oof. Yeah. But I mean, ultimately, wrestling's where you developed everything, and
Wrestling, yeah,
there's
wrestling's where I put all my apples in when I went to college. Um I didn't want to spend a lot of money going to college, so I wanted to look for something in state because it was like twice as much money if you went out of
mm,
state. And I didn't like IU, so the only option was really Purdue. So I went to Purdue, and
okay.
I knew a couple guys who were going there, and a guy who went there already. And I thought it was better to walk on and start for the wrestling team at Purdue than walk on and be on the kickoff team uh, for the football team.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Now, when you were on the younger side, kind of getting into it, was it something you grew to love? Was it something you did because, hey, man, this is just what we do?
The football or the wrestling.
Oh, wrestling. Yeah, wrestling.
The wrestling, yeah, I loved it because it was you're fighting with somebody, not getting in trouble, basically.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
like the idea. Because I was a big, pro wrestling fan until I started wrestling in the fourth grade. But when I found out it was like, that stuff was fake, I started not liking it. But the idea of being in the arena, the idea of the gladiator, all that stuff was like really cool. The type of movies and cartoons and stuff I was drawn to were more fight oriented,
Okay.
big Karate Kid fan.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh, yeah. And then, started wrestling in college, and one of my assistant coaches was Tom Erickson, who was fighting in Pride at the time, and he was number 2 on the Olympic team for a long time under Bruce Baumgartner, and he kind of got me thinking about it a little bit because I met fighters like Mark Coleman and Gary Goodrich, and what is his name? I Am the Machine. But anyways, I've met a few of those guys, and then I started working out with them a little bit, and I
Did you
noticed the
feel it?
workouts. What's
Go ahead.
that?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, I was saying,
Oh,
did you feel any sort of like you had to kind of perform up to a certain level, especially walking on? I mean, we're talking a D1 school,
oh yeah, but
especially for
Purdue. I mean,
wrestling.
yeah, I was like, I didn't know what to expect. Like everybody was good. It was really hard at first.
Mm,
Like, and we started with like 14 or 15 guys the first week of practice, freshmen, and we were down to like, I think we only graduated with 4, but we
oh
were
shit.
down to yeah, we were down to like 7 or 8 within the first like day or two. Like guys were just like, no, forget it. There's girls here. There's parties to go to. I don't want to do this. And like
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
the guys who won state or even won nationals at a weight class were still getting, handled by guys who were, uh, guys who didn't qualify for state or guys who were state qualifiers one time or they placed 8th. Like guys were just still game and guys were still tough. And then you guys had, at that age, you have maturity that happens late for some people. So they could be, a solid wrestler placed 8 in their state tournament, and then he hits his growth spurt in the summertime before he goes to college, and now he's like a man finally. So now he's wrestling against guys that would whoop his ass a year prior, but now he got his manhood came in.
Yeah,
So now he's throwing
yeah.
guys around. So I mean, it was a different environment, and you just kind of realize like how level the playing field really was if you really wanted to get after it.
Now, was it strictly just school based? Was there anything at home? I mean, did you have any sort of mats going down in the garage? Anything to extra practice? Were your parents or friends,
No, my I didn't
pushing
really
you?
have any resources other than the people on the team. My mom didn't want me to wrestle. Even when I went to college, she would come down to visit. My face would be beat up. I have cauliflower ear stuff going on. She'd be like, you don't have to do this. We don't need you to do it. You don't need to do this for the money, for scholarships or whatever. I was like, no, this is what I want to do. This is fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't have the mats, whatever. I was just drawn to it and I wanted to do it. When I started wrestling in fourth grade, like I had to get on a bus and then go from one school to another school and then wrestle at this junior high where the coach turned a blind eye to, where you came from and what, how old you were. And he
Yes,
would
sir.
just let you practice with the junior high team. And he would even put you into tournaments and stuff. And he would lie about how old you were to get you into. I
Yeah.
was wrestling in the fourth grade. I went and I wrestled. I was wrestling against like eighth graders at
Oh,
tournaments.
shoot. Yeah. Were
Just
you, as far as size wise, were you up to their level? Were you the
it's the
smaller
weight
guy?
class. Well, it's weight class tournaments because
Yeah.
it's weight class
Oh, so I
because
had
it's
to do, yeah, you just had to
wrestling. So
make the
they had
weight. Yeah.
2 years older, 3 years older, but we're the same weight. It's a completely
Yeah.
different story though.
And the work ethic that you grew up with played a major factor with, because from what I've known and from what I've
Work
seen with wrestlers, it's a whole different level of work.
work
And
ethic mixed with stubbornness mixed with competitiveness.
yeah,
Right? Like I really want to win. Like I'm here to win.
yeah, it's not
I'll
that's
play you for
beautiful. Yeah.
fun. I'll play it for fun, but I'm probably gonna try to win.
Yeah, yeah. I had a friend, and I can't remember where, but he said he went to I think he saw you at an open mat one time, and he was like, man, like I got, even though how big MMA is to me, I have like maybe three friends that we really talk about it.
Hmm.
And I mentioned it that, hey, I'm gonna have Jon Fitch on, and he's like, man, I caught that guy at an open mat, bro, and he snapped my neck about 100 times. Just pulling my head down about 100 times in like the first minute, bro. It was terrible. Like that Purdue wrestling is just, it's just too much for me, man. So I mean, I've seen, and when I first kind of got into the sport, I was looking into just ways to work out and stuff like that, and I bought this like big MMA workout book, and the wrestler aspect was all bodies. It was you and another man lifting another person and squatting with another man, and starting on the ground, picking them up, and it's just
Get
a
after
whole different
somebody.
level of work. Yeah.
No, I mean like
So
there's a lot of body work and body strength stuff going on when
yeah.
you're fighting another person.
So you're in your first year. I'm assuming, was it head down, grades up, wrestling is priority, or you have a little fun out there while you were there,
No,
meet
I
some
was kind of
people?
having too much fun. Um, yeah, I think I was having too much fun in the environment because it was really free and you could do what you wanted to. I was super strict about being there for workouts, doing extra stuff, but there's just such a large gap in between those guys who are elites and the guys who are also ran. And
Okay.
for a little while, I was doing the work of the also rans.
Mm.
I was showing up to every workout. Um, I was pushing myself through every workout. I was doing all the lifts. I was doing everything I was supposed to do. But when the preseason, it was party time. Even though I was doing my lifts and stuff, I still had time to party. And then in the postseason, there was a lot of partying going on. It wasn't until after my sophomore year of eligibility that I realized that you can't compete at this level and be fucking around.
Yeah, yeah.
You just can't. And I was like, this is the moment. Do you quit and give up and you're like, whatever, I'm fine with just being an also ran, or do you you double down, and really get after it. So I started really getting after it, and I like my book, my Failing Upward Death by Ego. It's supposed to be the first in like a series, but I have journals that I kept, and I started keeping them right after that bad season because I was like, I needed to like keep myself accountable. I needed to like cut the drinking. I needed to quit screwing around, just working out like it was season all year round. You know, basically, like there was no
Okay.
break.
Yeah, you
Um,
kind of cut all the bullshit out and just it was time to
exactly.
focus. Yeah.
We got a short period of time to do this. This is what we're doing this for. You know, this is why we're here. Like the other stuff will be here later. So started, really putting some effort into that. And then my sophomore year, not sophomore, junior year, much better, way better year. Performed way better, but I got injured, so I missed half the season.
Yeah.
It was kind of
What
devastating.
what was the injury?
PCL
Okay.
injury. So I didn't have to get surgery or anything, but it was enough to be out the whole season,
Okay.
the rest of the season. So that crushed me. Brought myself back from that injury, and then the next year, even better year. Senior year was my best year. I was one overtime point away from qualifying for nationals, and that was against a returning national champion who was who also I think who was an All American that year. I can't
Hmm.
remember, but like that, there was a good chance I could have made All American if I would have just sucked it up that last 30 seconds, or whatever I got taken down. If I would have shot first, I would.
Yeah, yeah.
Right,
Yeah. Some of you that lingers over you maybe.
little bit because I had him beat. I think. I
Yeah.
had him beat. And I think I wasn't focused from because I lost the first round, and that really threw me off. I thought I was going to win that first round match, and then I wasn't in the right space to face this guy. But I was right for the beating, and I just missed it. But yeah, so that failure though also led to me realizing that I wasn't done. I didn't want to be done competing.
Uh-huh.
So I had been thinking about the fight stuff, and I wasn't sure if I was like, hey, maybe I should just keep wrestling and try to make a national team or do the Olympics or something. And I was like, or I could do the fight thing. And I met one of our guys, Tim Dernlin, who was an All-American from Purdue. He was a senior when I was a freshman, I think. And like he was just got back from a trials, and the dude was like broke. He was married, living in his mom's basement. His face was all
Yeah.
fucked up from the wrestling tournament, and I was just like, man, I was like, he got like 6. He was like one away from like getting to do anything. I was like, man, you went through all that. Like,
Yeah. Barely. Yeah.
this is
For
you're
nothing.
mangled. You didn't get any money. You got nothing really to show for it. Wow. Like,
So where did you
maybe
where
I'll
did
go
you
fight.
look to go? Yeah, where did you look to go from that? Did you, I'm assuming you were just a straight wrestler at the time. No, was
Yep.
there anyone else, like you said,
No training, anything else. My buddy Mo was interested in maybe fighting too. He had some Aikido background, and we knew some guys that do some judo stuff we could train with sometimes. We would try to find workouts with anybody at the bar who said they knew how to fight or liked watching fights. It was a hard thing to try to find people to work with.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. And what area was this in? I know you said you were
West Lafayette, Indiana, is where Purdue University.
okay. Okay. So you got into it before you moved here to California. You were already kind of looking
I
to
started I started fighting right after I graduated. The summer after I graduated, 2002, and I stayed on as a grad assistant for Purdue, and they gave me time to kind of play around with the fighting thing and see what I wanted to do because
okay.
I was on a scholarship.
Hmm.
I got the red. I received the Red Mackey Award, which allowed me to stay for another year. They paid for my books, paid for my school stuff, and then I got a $3,000 check each semester.
Oh shoot.
So
Okay.
yeah, so and rent back then was like $250, $300 a month.
Yeah. Solid.
So
Yeah. That's
so like yeah,
plenty of money, baby. Yeah.
I was living like a king, man.
Yeah.
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 Um,
So, Where do we go from there? Where's I mean, do you
Yeah,
find a gym?
so that year I had time off. Then I started fighting, and I met Brian Neversaw at my very first fight. We became friends. He was over at Eastern Illinois, so we were only 2 hours away. He had been fighting for a couple years already, so he already knew some promoters and some people. So um, he kind of was like my first manager. Really, he would call ahead and see if there was anybody for me to fight. Uh, my first fight I got because Tom Erickson called some people and got me on a new card that was in Vegas. It was a one-time, one and done deal.
Okay.
And, yeah, I just met Brian there, and we were friends. And then I got linked up with Zinkin Entertainment. Dwayne Zinkin was an All-American wrestler from Fresno State, and he knew guys who were around this fighting stuff. And he's like, I bet wrestlers would do really well in this. So he started signing wrestlers and even started calling universities that had wrestling teams and talking to
Oh
the coach.
wow.
So he started like cold calling and recruiting. So he'd called and talked to Tom and said, "Hey man, you got any fighters who are interested in fighting?" He said, "Yeah, actually, I have a guy." Started talking with him. I ended up fighting in Minnesota, one of Brad Kohler's shows, and Sean Shirk was there, and Sean was represented by Dwayne Zinkin at the time.
Hmm.
Sean saw me fight twice that night and told Dwayne I looked like a stud and had a lot of potential. So Dwayne agreed to manage me, and I started flying out to. I flew out to San Jose to see what was going on because Dwayne was working with Crazy Bob and Javier Mendez and Frank
Yes, sir.
Shamrock at the time, trying to set something up at AKA. Because they only had Bobby Southworth, Josh Thompson, Trevor Prangley, Mike Swick, uh,
The
a few other
OGs,
guys,
yeah.
but this was like way back. And yeah, I went out there for a week, trained a little bit, loved it. Decided I need to move after I finished my second semester, and yeah, that's history. And I'm moving out in 2004, no, 2003, 2003, right after I finished, like a week after I finished school.
And those first two fights that you got in your bout, as far as your striking goes, was it set up for the takedowns?
Not
And
exhausted. I had I had like 7 fights before I'd ever sparred.
oh shit, okay. He just jumped right in then. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, but it's predominantly wrestling. Were you looking to take some damage? Did you know how to throw any
Yeah,
jabs or crosses
we
or
were thinking about big, just big punches into clinch, takedowns, and then ground and pound.
yeah, bread
Yeah,
and butter?
there
I
wasn't
got
really even a there. Honestly, bro, there wasn't a strategy. It's like hit
you.
him
Yeah.
with the right hand, take him down, maybe. Like
Yeah,
keep
do what you
hit,
do best.
keep
Yeah, I
hitting.
mean, when you got that strong background, and to have somebody kind of see, because I feel like it took a while for people to realize that wrestling is the base, man. And I know a lot of different people, and they do a lot of different things. And even now, if I have people asking me, "Hey, I want to put my kids in jujitsu, or I want to do this," I'm like, "Bro, put
First,
them in wrestling, and then put them in jujitsu." Because my cousin did that with his kids, and they're white belts and they're tapping blues, man, like
mhm.
nothing. They're just so strong and
Well,
they
I
just
mean,
know how to
part of it
move.
too is the there's an aggression factor that goes along with wrestling that isn't
Yeah.
there in jujitsu, and
Hmm.
some people they're just too soft with their jujitsu.
Yeah. Now,
That
when did
makes
you
sense.
when did you decide to kind of give into the jiu-jitsu? I'm really when I first got into mixed martial arts, this was like the I was a little on the obsessive side with the Camarillo and the guerrilla jiu-jitsu. Like that was kind of my first
Oh yeah, I
initial
was
like entryway.
my big like just seceding into jiu-jitsu because when I first got there, Bobby Southworth was running the jiu-jitsu program at AKA,
Hmm.
and I had the typical fighter mentality that everybody had at the time. Was like, we don't fight in gis. Like,
Yeah.
why are we training in a gi? It seems silly, counterproductive. So I would jump into a few of Bobby's classes here and there, but I wouldn't wear my gi. Um, and then Dave came to the school, and he started coming to some of the workouts. And um, there's a few times, during the workouts where he got top position, and he was only 160 pounds, dripping wet,
Hmm.
but like he would get side control, he'd get a position, you could not get him off of you. And I was like, man, if a guy that small can like outposition me and like pin me and keep me in a bad spot for 4 minutes, 5 minutes, there's something to this. So
Yeah, definitely.
I was like, I'm just gonna shut up and just do whatever he says, and then treat jujitsu as jujitsu and not question it like I'm a fighter in jujitsu. I'm a jujitsu guy. I don't know anything about this. I'm just doing this
Mm-hmm.
and fully like um, immersed myself into the discipline. That's when I started like learning faster, and then you can always take what you learn from the class, and then when you had team training or no gi or whatever, then you can start being like, okay, let's see what happens. How do we use this with when we switch to
Yeah, live.
philosophy of of a fight? Because things change. It changes like what you're trying to do, your objectives, your mission objectives changes
Mm-hmm.
when you're going from jujitsu where you can score points and fight from your back and submit people comfortably versus a fight where you're fighting against your opponent and gravity because they're able to hit you, and if they're on top and they're able to use that gravity against you, like you're going to get
Yeah.
beat up faster. You can't play the same type of game necessarily.
Okay.
Now there's the argument towards the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu self-defense where obviously if Jiu-Jitsu and your attacker doesn't know anything, then yeah, then traditional self-defense Jiu-Jitsu is fine. You can
Mm-hmm.
fall back and hit that arm bar, or you can you can hit the snap their head down, guillotine them, and pull guard on the street. Like if that's the only thing and they don't know anything, then fine. But when you're fighting somebody and they know all those tricks, you have to apply things differently. You can't you
Yes,
can't
sir.
you can't lay on your back for 5 minutes without your gi on, fishing for submissions while the guy's elbowing you in the face. It's not the right way to go about it.
Yeah, it's not very real life. The way I've
Yeah.
been seeing it,
So
and
and
I.
that's a problem a lot of guys have with the fight game and MMA is they're unable to separate the disciplines um, uh,
Like the
away from the
tradition of it.
like yeah, well, like the rule sets, like when you're doing boxing, you're stuck to a certain set of rules that
Mm-hmm.
don't exist in MMA.
Yes,
So
sir.
if you're trying to do everything like a boxer does things, so I would butt heads with mid coaches sometimes, and they were teaching me the things the way boxers do them, and I would have to correct them. I'm like, okay, I
Mm-hmm.
understand what you're teaching me, I know how to do that, but I'm not a boxer. Like I'm an MMA fighter. Right? So I mean that was one of the things that bothered me is oh, don't punch and close, get too close. Well, that's where I want to be.
Yeah, you want to clinch, you want to
I
get
want
in
to
there.
I want to
Yeah.
punch and hit you and step in, and then I'm hip to hip with you. That's good.
Yeah.
But in boxing, like you can't do that because then you're clinching, you can't hit. Well, you have to like keep staying at the same range and take angles. Well, I'm perfectly fine with hitting you once or twice and then being hip to hip, and now we're grappling.
Yes,
I'll
sir.
beat
Yeah.
you up I'll beat you up in the clinch, or I'll take you down, or I'll hit you as we separate from the clinch, and then I'll do it again.
Yeah.
So it's a different mentality. You can't man, like how many guys came into our gym over the years who were boxers and were taught how to box and had no idea that like their boxing stance was garbage for leg kicks.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's something that kind of came a little later. You watch those guys who are pure boxers, pure Muay Thai, pure Jiu-Jitsu, and they do well, but when they fight that well-rounded guy, they don't do as well. So it is something you kind of got to you got to piece by piece it
There's that there
up.
too, but there's also guys who are only, he's a purple belt at jujitsu and he's only been doing Muay Thai for 5 years and he, only been wrestling for 10 years. The guys who are in those are still like there's a miss of blurring the lines, like taking the technique away from the sport and using the technique into a new sport,
Hmm.
right? Like I'm using this armbar in a fight. I'm not doing jujitsu.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
think
get
that's
you.
that's that's a separation a lot of people they're not able to make.
And what was your as far as like financial situations when you got into AKA? I know it was fairly new, so I can't imagine they were charging what they would
Uh,
charge
broke.
today, but yeah.
Um, well, no, like so when we first started off, there wasn't like 40 guys showing up at the gym trying to come in, you know.
Hmm.
So we had like 8 guys on the team before. So we we cleaned the gym, and we would help out teaching classes here and
Okay.
there sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I was broke. So I mean, I had $3,000 I moved out to California with, and I was able to make about I budgeted myself by $800 a month. I had to make to live. That's about what it was going to cost me with everything. Um, so I had to make sure that I only made sure that I made enough for what I
Okay.
needed. Right. So
Yeah.
like I wouldn't take more hours at the club working security if I didn't need to. Because
Just
like
enough to
my
get by.
focus,
Yeah.
yeah, my focus was because that was 4 hours, 5 hours a night that I didn't get to rest, or I might have to miss jujitsu. Like it wasn't worth it to me. Like the money
So
wasn't worth it. To
you came to California just full on ready to fight,
me.
ready to get into the career. This
Go
is
to
where you were
work.
going.
I would drink Red Bulls and just hang out, and then boom, would go to bed. I would be in bed as soon as I could to wake up and do my next workout.
So how many amateur fights did you get into before you hit pro? And what organization are we talking when you hit pro
I
finally?
didn't. I went pro first.
Okay.
So I went pro and I fought in that Vegas. Who was it? Was the Shane? That guy Wayne Newton. It was
Oh
his
yeah, Wayne Noon, yes sir.
Stardust Hotel. Yeah, Wayne Newton, homeless Wayne Newton. Fought in that hotel, and but then I lost that fight, and then after that, it was like 2 weeks later, I fought in an amateur tournament, like Extreme Challenge. It was Monty Cox up in Iowa. So we drove, did that. So I did pro, then two amateur, then I went and started doing pro fights again. So I think
Okay.
that was maybe in Mexico or something.
What was your whole mindset when you finally got, I mean, after that first loss, was it kind of, I know you're a
It
guy
was
that
another.
you
It was
want that
another one
win.
of those like. Well, it was like all because I didn't have any sparring. I went out to the fight by myself. I didn't have a corner. I didn't bring a cup with me. My
Oh
mouthpiece was
shit.
like some cheap garbage thing I bought at the mall boxing section at the sports goods store.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
So
I had no idea what I was doing, but like I was just like wanted to try it. I treated it like a wrestling tournament or something you just went to. And then
yeah,
so after that, I was kind of like, man, I was like, I can't go out like that. I can't just let that be the last time I did it or did anything. Like I don't even think I got hit. It was like we kind of half punched and stepped into a clinch. I went to hip toss him, land on my back. He landed in mount, and then I tried to get away. He took my back and like choked me in a minute and a half or something. It's like,
yeah, yeah. There's a
what?
learning experience for sure. So when
Yeah. So I was like, screw this. And then uh, I did the amateur tournament. I fought 2 times in one night, and it was different. Like I actually went in the gym, and it wasn't even sparring. It was like um, it was a kind of like play fight drilling where my
Mhm.
buddy just kind of let me kind of tee off. He moved, and I kind of like didn't tee off on him, but was like light touching, and like it felt good to like, okay, this is what it's gonna feel like. I wish I would have done that a few times before the fight because it was really I had zero to go off of. I was like,
And
this isn't
at
like
what
wrestling.
yeah. Now at what point did you
Whoops,
finally kind
made a
of
mistake.
yeah. When did you kind of realize, hey man, I need to take it serious? Maybe I get a manager,
Yeah,
maybe we start looking into stuff.
it was after the Wilson. I fought Wilson Govea. So I went out to California, trained for a week during Thanksgiving break, and then a couple weeks later, around Christmas time, I fought in Florida against Wilson Govea, and it was a 205. And I was coming off like a injury and a broken thumb, and I hadn't had that much training, and he was a full time trainer. Like I
Mhm.
realized after that fight, like these guys down at ATT, like they were getting paid to train 2, 3 times a day. And I was like, you can't dick around like hitting a heavy bag of the co-rec. I didn't even have gloves. I just had wraps. Like,
Yeah,
I I couldn't even get enough guys to like get three 5 minute rounds in because the guys weren't in good enough of shape to like rotate in and last 15 minutes.
yeah,
Like we got a bunch of guys coming from the bar one day when I was training for my first fight, and they were supposed to rotate through every time I submitted them. And I had no idea what the hell I was doing. Right. But like, we're supposed to do 3 rounds of this, three 5-minute rounds, and 3 minutes into the first round, they were all laying on the floor or up against the wall, and they're like, "Oh, we're done." Nobody could continue. And I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
man, this is like this is not a good situation."
There you get all your talent
I
from
have
the
to get out
bar,
of here.
sir. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there was nothing else around because this
Yeah.
was 2002. Like, who's 2002, 2003? Who's doing jujitsu in Indiana then?
Yeah. It was still a little in the infancy, I always like to call it. I still don't think it's, I mean, it's big now to me, but again, I feel like if I asked 10 people about it, they would have no idea who or what's going on, you know. Let's jump a little bit ahead. Your first big moment, under the lights, when did you get the opportunity? How'd you get the opportunity? How were you feeling at the time?
Uh, well, I mean, like the first big, I mean, big back then you would call it big because people heard about it. Was
Hmm.
when I fought Shoney Carter.
Hmm.
Okay, it was a Shudo show, so it wasn't like seen by a lot of people. They might have seen it after the fact or later on VHS or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I fought Shoney Carter. Nobody really heard of me. Everybody thought Shoney was going to win. He'd been on a little bit of a streak, and he was supposed to win that fight with me and then get back into the UFC. And Dana White was actually in the crowd that night to watch the fight, and I beat him up and made him. He ended up throwing up in the ring, throw up hot dogs in the ring
Nice.
in the
Yeah.
third round. And yeah, so that was probably like the big one, but it wasn't. It didn't get anything started because it just scared everybody off.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, they're like, oh, he's way too good to fight without a name, so no one would take a fight with me. So I didn't. After the Shoney fight, I didn't fight again for like 8 or 9 months.
Yeah, you know what? I've noticed a trend with that, and I have seen that as a problem. It's like coming up, you got to make a name for yourself, but if you're too good, everyone, it's all about the streak you're getting and how hot you kind of get, you know.
Well, I mean, and nowadays, a lot of guys don't even understand how to leverage social media the way they need
Hmm.
to, because it's not even about how good you are anymore. It's about how many eyeballs you have on you.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
if you know, it doesn't matter about how good you guys avoiding you. They'll only avoid you if you don't have buzz around you. If you don't have a big following, I
Hmm.
guarantee. I guarantee any fighter that has 500,000 followers on a platform probably has a pretty easy time finding marquee fights.
Yeah, yeah. It's one of those things that I don't really like it too much, and
It's just,
especially,
I
I mean,
mean, it's attention. It's attention. Like, because the
yeah, yeah,
promoters, I don't think the promoters are really doing the work to promote these guys because the monopoly they kind of hold over the fighters, it's take it or leave it contracts, and the the, the promoters just kind of take the juice and squeeze. They don't want to take the time and effort to plant the seed and grow the tree. They're just going to look for the fruit that's already ripe.
yeah,
So if you're a fighter who knows how to use social media and you've got a big following, like you're a juicy fruit. Those promoters are licking their lips at you
yeah. They want you.
because they didn't have to put any money into getting eyeballs on you. You got your own eyeballs on you.
Yeah, it's definitely a second job I've noticed.
Oh
I
yeah.
do the interviews more as like a hobby and just to kind of help people
Mhm.
get to know. It's something I wish I would have known a lot about people. There's a lot of fighters that I liked, but I only knew them for their fights. And I was like, oh, I didn't know about that guy. But it's a
And,
second
and
job, and
yeah, there's a major difference because like I follow on YouTube. I follow like Mayweather Promotions or whatever, and they're
mhm.
always doing something with
Yeah, yeah,
people. I was following them on I think I follow their Instagram too, and it's like they have a bunch of different fighters, and then they'll have them in the gym, and they'll showcase different people, and they'll have little things that they put together all the time. It's because they profit off of the more people who know who their fighters are,
yeah,
so they
definitely.
put money into it. But
Yeah.
UFC, same thing, but they don't. They just they take the juice, squeeze you, and then push you out.
How was your experience with that, man? I mean, you fought best of the best, especially around your time coming in
I
there.
mean, it was great fighting a lot of those big names, but I feel like through the time I was in there, they didn't let me fight a lot of the guys I should have fought. The Condits, Catman, Diaz, Man, any number of guys. Lawler, like there's plenty of guys I could have fought. There was a period of time Carl, was the name I could have fought.
Yeah,
But
Carl
like they
Parisian.
they protected a lot of these big names from me, and what they ended up doing was because they didn't like my attitude, was they kept making me fight the toughest guys that didn't have any names.
Yeah.
They
Yeah, no, I was
when I won, it wasn't enough. It was like, oh, you should have done more. You should have beat this guy or knocked him out or done whatever. Even though the guy's never been finished before. But that's who I got. And then they get somebody who they like and they give him a guy who's like a 50-50 record, but they hype him up. And the crowd thinks that 50-50 guy is so amazing, but really they're just setting him up for a highlight reel.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
like the guy's last fight, he got knocked out real bad or something. And they're like, okay, we're going to set this one up.
Yeah,
Like,
you know what, I noticed that and I brought that up to my brother. We were talking about with the Israel Adesanya fight, and I'm a huge fan of Izzy, man. He's great. He's extremely talented. But with the highlight reel, and they're showing him knocking down Gastelum and Whitaker, and everyone's freaking out. And I'm telling people like, man, if you watch the first 3 rounds of that fight, though, it was a close fight the whole
yeah,
way. Gastelum had him dropped. It wasn't like what they're showing, but if you don't watch, you're thinking, man, Adesanya ran through all these guys, man, and he just can't be stopped.
narrative
But
control. And like the press isn't the press. The press is PR. Nobody pushes
yeah,
back.
exactly.
Nobody really, even the guys who are the most confrontational still aren't that confrontational.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
they
you get.
know who's in control. They know they can be the on the end of a nasty email that tells the fighters not to talk to this group anymore, this author, this journalist anymore. Those emails have happened before.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I'm trying to honestly, I'm trying to parlay all this into some sort of a press pass, but it's so different than what it used to be. Now it's just about the following and stuff like that. Where so I'm working my way to just trying to get some sort of relevancy and all that stuff. But so far it's doing okay. I mean, I've been getting some pretty big names. I got you on here, which is amazing for me. Um, who's your toughest opponent? Who do you feel like gave you the biggest headache in there,
I
man?
mean, obviously GSP
Yeah.
was one of the. You got to give him credit where credit is due, of course. Obviously,
Do you feel like
that
he was that much better than everyone else you fought?
I feel like I could have. He was better than most guys, but he was an athlete. He wasn't like technically better.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm like, oh my god, where did he go? It wasn't anything like that. Like
Yeah.
that was pretty slick. He was just fast. And like my big thing was I had the bad game plan going into it, and I got hit with a big right hand pretty early. So
Yeah.
I was just playing catch up the rest of the time. I really believe if I had a second chance to fight him, I would have beat him. If I would have been given the GSP fight like I was told after the Thiago Alves fight, I think I would have beat him. But like they they took it away at the press conference. Like you hear, it's funny. You listen to the DVD back, you hear Goldberg saying, congratulations to Jon Fitch for earning another title shot with this win. And then in the press conference, they're like, yeah, we'll see. He's in the mix. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. I see that a little too much. It does suck, and I like where things are going. To an extent, I do see it's becoming more of a business, and they got to protect certain things. But yeah, I've seen that happen a lot, where it's like, oh man, this guy for sure. Oh no, well we got this other guy who's
if
chirping a bunch on
if people
Twitter.
understood a large majority of the decisions they make about who gets title shots and who's fighting is based off of contracts.
Yeah.
Like whose contract is more favorable to the promoter. Has nothing to do with the fans, has nothing to do with who's the best. If they can get a guy who's got an 8 fight contract for shit money in there with the belt, they'd prefer that because
Oh wow. Okay.
they don't have to pay him as much.
Yeah.
Say
You get
you got a really
those.
nice contract and you're making good money. They don't want you to win the belt. They want you to win extra money.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. Like I said, I liked where it was going, and there are days where I'm like, I'm not too. I don't really dig what they're going with certain things,
I
and
mean, once they bought Strikeforce, they had all the power and they've just been yeah, monopolizing, taking more and more power. Like people want to compare like Bellator putting up competition, but the money is not even close. Like the money that they make and generate, they're not even in the same field, like not in the same wheelhouse at all.
But it
Not
seems that they're paying their athletes more than what the UFC would pay them. It's
I mean, I don't think that that is. They play
okay.
a larger percentage of the revenues earned.
Okay. How did you feel? How did you feel jumping, from UFC to Bellator? Was it something where you kind of felt like, hey man, there's a little unfinished
I liked
business. I
it.
wish
I
I could
liked
have
it
done a little
because
more.
I liked it because I like the attitude. I feel like Bellator is trying harder to like work with the athletes and
Hmm.
take care of us a little bit better. I think they respect us a little bit more. It feels like it. It feels kind of like the old days in the UFC early on.
Okay.
When I first got in there, early, mid 2000s. But that
Yeah.
was like an attitude. I mean, that was kind of like manipulative, I think, on their part. UFC is like, hey guys, we're all in this together. We're a big team, and we're trying to get MMA mainstream. We need us all. Everybody's got to chip in. I mean, let's all hold hands and do this together. And
Yeah.
then like we all get to the front line, and we're like, oh, we did it, guys. And they're like, oh yeah, $4 billion. Fuck yeah. Thanks for
Yeah.
the help, losers.
Yeah. I've talked
Basically
to a
what they did
few.
to us. Like they would give speeches before every fight. Guys, we're trying to build this sport. We're trying to make this, uh, you know, household thing. We're trying to make you household names. Go out there, lay it on the line. Leave your lives out there. Every speech. Like we're doing this together. Bullshit. We're gonna take care of you if you leave it out there. No, they're not. They
Yeah.
didn't. They
It's
didn't.
I've I've talked to a few people during this like interview process, and they did seem like Bellator does take they felt like Bellator took a little bit more care of their athletes, and made them feel a little bit more of the love,
Mhm.
and I guess just the compromise of working together,
Mhm.
type of aspect. Now, coming off, I wanted to ask you with the Rory fight, man. I know it was a close decision. I had you up.
Robbery.
Yeah, I had you up, but
The worst, I mean, it's the worst part about that and all the other fights that are kind of similar to this are these freaking judges that don't pick a
yeah,
winner. It's your
yeah.
job. It's your only freaking job. Like it's your job to know. Like you should be docked. You should lose like half your pay. If you can't fucking pick a winner, that's your job. You lose your job. You like lose your money.
Do you like the guys like Frank Trigg and like leaving out there? They're kind of getting into the referee game. Do you feel like that's a little bit more experience in knowing what's there, knowing what control really is worth giving some points, things like that? You think that's a better way to go?
I mean, it can help with refereeing, with judging. Uh, the problem with judging is we don't have clear cut criteria.
Hmm.
They're like you buy you go to the fucking freaking Target and buy any like board game. There's a rule of a rules and lists of like how to do it and what the instructions are, and you can sit there and you be your first time playing, and everybody can play a game, and we know who the winner is
Yes, sir.
because it's written down.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here's the steps. This is what it is. There's nothing like that in MMA. You should be able to say, what's the criteria? Where's the criteria book? We should all be able to go through and read it and know exactly how to score. You should be able to take somebody off the street who's never seen the sport, have them read the criteria, watch a fight, and then pick the winner because they have the criteria in front of them.
Yes,
It
sir.
should be that cut and dry. If we like, you ever played cricket?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I played
Yeah,
one time in
I
college.
wasn't great, didn't really understand it, but I was
Yeah, but
there.
like, okay, we could Google it and we could get some guys together. We could probably play a game in the park,
Yeah,
right? What?
figure it
What?
out. Yeah.
Why you couldn't do that with a fight? Could we read
We
something online and go and hey, we'll go to the park and these guys are going to fight and we're going to judge who wins? You couldn't
no, I
even do
know.
that. Like
I
where
know.
where
Ultimately, that's a commission thing, and
yes,
it goes state by
100%.
state.
100%.
So, you
But
think
this is
that's
the
something
thing.
they're
The
holding on
thing.
to?
The sport isn't really a sport. It's an illusion. It is nothing more than exhibitions. It's pro
Mm.
wrestling. It's pro wrestling format with undecided outcomes. That's it's not really a sport. Like the fights are real, but like everything else is not a sport, and it's all part
Yeah,
of the make believe thing they put on it.
yeah, yeah. It's
As
it
if it
does get a
was a
little
real,
frustrating.
if it was a real sport, then the commission would have a real like criteria to it. I'm
Yeah, I
pretty
don't.
sure even in boxing, I think if you look up, you can see pretty clear criteria around boxing scoring.
Yeah, definitely. Boxing's pretty cut and dry, and I don't know how much longer it's gonna take. Again, I feel like MMA has grown so much, even in the past, decade, but it's like
Well, I mean, it's
still
grown, but
not
it's
really
grown
taken so
into a
serious.
monopoly. So I think
Yeah,
like it benefits the promoters to have non-concrete ways of deciding who wins the fight,
yeah, yeah. It's kind of up
because
in the air
it
still.
benefits them to have unstable championships. Because if one
Hmm.
person's champion for too long, it's a problem,
Yeah,
right? They don't want you to have the championship for years and years and years. You end up
yeah,
making too much money, and then you got too much attitude. They'd rather
yeah.
you lose. Whoops, you lost a split decision. Whoop, you should
Yeah.
have
You had
finished.
your shot.
It's
Yeah,
your
exactly.
it's your fault for not finishing it.
Yeah, yeah,
They
definitely.
turn around on you.
Yeah, I think it's something. I know it's been addressed so many different times. I know they talk about it all the time. With the commentating and whatnot, and even a lot of these analysts are like, "Yeah, man, look, I saw it this way, but who knows?" And it does suck, especially as a fan and just even as an athlete. You're putting your everything out there to just kind of know that, hey, man, I don't know. I could go out there and kick ass and do everything I was supposed to do, and I feel like I won, but I'm really not sure. I've seen a lot of robberies, yeah.
Yeah, I
Especially
mean,
Rory, yeah.
if they're yeah, they're trying to judge it like I don't know, man, like some kind of pageant. I think
No, I
some
know, I know he took off. Was there any talk of a rematch before the Gracie fight that you had?
no, because there was the tournament thing was still going, so he was gonna have two more fights with whatever, and then yeah, it's wild.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're. I'm glad you're keeping active, brother. To watch you from at that young age and to see you're still out there looking absolutely amazing. Still in great shape and performing at the high level, man. It's good to see. And again, just always a great fan. I'm.
I don't even me not me retiring and kind of walking away from the sport isn't even based off of health issues. I just I'm tired of the BS. I'm tired like to me it's the sunk cost of everything you put into it to be treated the way we're treated and to make the minute amount of money for the risks and the damage we do to our bodies. I'm at an age where I realize that I can make money. I can make as much or more money not getting punched in the face. I'll miss it. It's a lot of fun. I like
Mm,
fighting in the big arenas, but like
yeah.
it's just like if this is all our bodies and our time and stuff is worth, then like I'll do something else.
Are you surprised by the amount of like numbers of this newer generation looking to get into this, like saying this is the way to go, knowing what you know now?
No, because I mean it's still most people don't understand how it works. People don't get it. Like they still see the shiny, like awesome fun thing, and they're not understanding like how badly the fighters are being exploited. They don't see the economics of it. I mean the
Mm,
UFC deliberately has modeled their system so that they only pay 19% of the gross revenues to the fighters. Every other sport's at least 50%.
mm.
They know that.
Yeah,
like
you see those big boxing paydays all the time. Yeah.
and they're not that's not we with lawsuit that we were involved in we've seen what their expenses are for putting the fights and putting the shows together. It's not that much. Like they're pocketing it. They're pocketing money off the top. The champions are losing the most amount of money, but everybody's in a worse spot.
And how do you feel about the crossovers, like the Askren Paul or the McGregor Mayweather stuff like that?
I
You
don't I
more,
don't I don't mind those circus shows. I don't mind a circus show every once in a while.
yeah,
I
yeah,
just I just want a a um a fundamentally sport-based system that everybody can operate in, and we have um cross promotion. We have promoters who are actually fighting for the athletes,
hmm,
right? Actually fighting. There's never been a bidding war for a fighter ever in the history of the sport. Fighters have been given up by the UFC and other promotions have acquired them, but there's never been a bidding war.
yeah. You think why it's so? You think
The
that's why
UFC
it's
has
so?
never been placed in a position where they're outbidding someone else.
No, the thought process that you kind of came to realize with the hey man, we're putting our bodies through all this stuff. You think that's why you see so many guys kind of leaving, like Cejudo kind of leaving up top of his game, GSP not
I,
really giving any
I
reason to come
believe so.
back.
I believe so, especially the guys at the top, because they really get it. They're gonna
Yeah,
get it. They're gonna see it. And if they don't have a sweet spot like in announcing or getting a check just to keep quiet, like yeah,
yeah. I've people always ask, well, what about Cejudo, man? He could do so much, and it's like, well, I guess you kind of reach that age. I feel like a lot of it's ego, also, with the fighter mentality.
well,
You
it's
want to
like
stick around.
he doesn't have any control. He's the champ. He's the draw. People who are gonna watch the fight are paying to watch him fight, or
Hmm.
even if they're paying to watch him lose. So why does Dana get to dictate so much and talk down to him and tell him what's up and keep 81% of the money raised?
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't you be pretty upset if like you knew that this guy
Oh, for
was
sure. If this
you
was my
like
day job, yeah,
everything that you do, this guy's skimming 80% off of it.
yeah,
How are
no,
you
definitely.
you want to keep making him money? Like, or do you go and you do something else because you can make money doing other stuff?
Yeah, and you see guys like I know like Nate's pretty vocal about this stuff all the time. I've been seeing him; he's pretty wild on his Twitter and Instagram, kind of calling people out, but at the same time not really doing it. You do see those guys that know their worth and say, "Hey, man, I want more money for what I'm doing," and they get really nothing from it. So I can definitely see the frustration, brother. Like really, and I hope that sometime soon we can kind of figure something out. The commissions, anyways, it might be a generational thing. The old guys will be out soon, and the younger people will kind of come up. Um,
I don't know, no, because it's a lot of young guys. They have no idea what's going on because it's not
mm,
covered much in the press, because the press doesn't want to lose access, and
yeah,
they use the argument all the time. So they say, well, what's changed since the last update with the thing? I'm like okay, so they try to play off that it's not really news. I'm like,
yeah,
these guys are still getting exploited the same amount every fight. Like, it's not news because the exploitation hasn't changed. It's like,
yeah,
yeah, they're
yeah,
getting exploited the same amount, so why cover it?
yeah. Nothing's
Like,
new. So I even
nothing's
reported it.
new. Nothing's new. So just forget about it until something changes. Then we'll cover it.
Yeah, nah, it's rough, man. Media stuff like that with everything.
But I
I
don't think
want,
it's media. I think it's PR. Like, if you're in the inner circles with those, it's a PR. You're doing public relations. You're pushing the fight. You're trying to make money off of whatever's going on. Um, yeah, it's not really news. It's not really like journalism.
yeah. Well, I'm glad we got to where we are now. We got to see the journey. We're gonna finish off with the 10 questions that I ask everybody.
So
Some of them are a little serious, some of them aren't, right? It's kind of a mixture of the two. But number one, what's the worst advice you've ever been given?
happy wife, happy life.
All right, that's the worst. Okay. Number two, if not fighting, then what? What are we doing?
Well, I'm not fighting. You mean if I never fought?
Yeah, if you never fought, where do you feel like your life would have gone to? Another
Man,
passion besides the stones and stuff like
I
that.
have no idea because like I went to school to teach, so I would have been a teacher and a high school coach, high school wrestling coach, football coach, probably. I have no idea where my future was because I don't know if I would have gotten into that and like really enjoyed it and like try to been like one of those multiple state title winning coach type people, or if I might have just gone crazy in a few years and quit because I mean that was one of the reasons why I started fighting was I did student teaching my
Hmm.
senior year and I was like I don't want to do this. Terrible.
Hey, you seem like you're just laser focused on what you want to do, and it's just a tunnel vision to get to that
If
spot.
you don't, I mean, like, if you believe in yourself and you're a capable person, like, you can do whatever you want to do. So, like,
It's
find
from
things.
your
If I don't enjoy it, like, I'm not gonna do it anymore. Like,
yeah
I mean, you have to, you got to pay for basic needs. But like, I cover basic needs and then do what I want to do.
yeah from your mouth to God's ear, sir. I like that. Number three, dogs or cats?
Dogs. I got a big
Oh,
dog.
nice. All right. Number four, charcoal or propane?
Man,
That is a tough one.
I actually, man, honestly, like, I had a natural gas grill. That was miles above both.
I've never even heard of a natural gas grill.
Yeah,
Honestly, I thought it was
oh,
just
'cause
a
you know,
three in
like
a smoker.
like your oven is a gas oven.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So you can. I had a grill that they ran the gas line out of the house to the grill.
Oh shoot. Oh, you know what? I'm lying. I used to work for a barbecue spot, and we had that
Yeah.
option to switch
Yeah.
stuff over. Yeah,
So it's like
yeah.
a lot cleaner and fast, and it's pretty damn good.
Well,
But
you're
I
the
mean, I,
first one.
yeah.
That's the first answer that I've heard there. Number five is a little bit of a deeper question here, brother. Uh, do you believe that dreams play a significance in your life as far as when you're sleeping, the dreams that you have?
Um, as far as are dreams telling you something?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. I mean, I don't know. If you're, I guess they can. I think the dreams can be telling you something. 'Cause I feel like if you're doing good things, moving in a good direction, like you can have positive dreams towards what you're doing in that good direction. And then
Mhm.
sometimes you can be slacking off and doing garbage, and then you start having like bad dreams. And they like
Yeah.
it's your subconscious telling you. And it's not necessarily like spiritual, mystic, whatever, but I think it's like what you're doing with the majority of your time is going to be on your mind and on your subconscious. So
Yeah,
if
that's a
you're
good
like
point.
actively doing positive good things, like positive good things are actively on your subconscious. But if you're like slacking, insecure, full of anxiety, eating shitty food, like it'll manifest into not good dreams. Like
Okay.
that's like an old joke, you know. People like waking up from nightmares and be like, "Oh, I shouldn't eat that meatball sub."
Yeah, I've heard that.
But
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Very, very in depth. Number six. What's your favorite behind the scenes moment throughout your career? You don't have to go crazy into detail or name names if you don't want to, but just a favorite behind the scenes moment you've had.
Well, I mean, man, one of my favorite behind the, I guess. Okay, that's a good one. I was gonna tell somebody else's, but like this is one I had. It was like when I was fighting. It was an 8-man tournament down in Mexico, and I think it was a day after. It was like 2 days. Like I fought the first night, I already won. But the second night, Mike Van Arsdale was fighting, and we were in the back, and he kind of like a breakdown, like, "Why am I doing this?" He's like,
Yeah.
he started to crazy Bob. He's like, "Bob, what am I doing this for? This is stupid." He's like, "I'm a 40-year-old man." He's like, "I ain't doing this. Take these gloves off. Take these gloves off." And Bob was like, "Calm down, calm down. Just shut up. You know, you're fine. You're gonna be fine." Like it was this guy. I was like looked up to because we were training with. I was like, man, this guy's a
Yeah.
legend. He's been all over. He had crazy stories about all the stuff he's done and seen, and he's kind of like having this breakdown in the back, like, I'm out of here. Take these gloves off. Cut these off. I'm out of here. I want to do this. That was a
Yeah.
very like, okay. So like, I went out there and didn't smash the guy too. He fought, I think, Emmanuel Newton, but it was a good thing to see because it was kind of like, oh, like I'm not the only guy who's like shitting myself
Yeah,
before.
man. Yeah.
Like, okay,
Kind of made a little personal connection to you as a young man
all right, I
looking
don't
up at.
feel so bad. It's like
Yeah.
you just got to keep it under control, and you're all right. I
Yeah.
was like, as long
Now
as I
that's
don't,
it's always good to see kind of, you always kind of as a young person, you kind of look up, think everybody's got everything. Getting older, man, I'm realizing not many people I know have their shit together, and we just all do a good job
the
of
older you
hiding it.
get, the more you'll realize how much the majority of people are losers.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, man.
I don't mean
All right.
it's, I don't mean to be mean, but like,
No, no, trust me, it's out there. Number seven. You ever seen a ghost?
I don't think, I want to say no, but like, I kind of think I did.
Let's hear it. Let's
think
hear your quick
I
story.
think it was no, it was like girl I dated a long time ago. She went to school in Irvine. They stayed in this house. So they were talking about how they would see like a little kid, but they wouldn't
Oh
see it. It
shit.
was always in the peripheral.
Peripheral.
You
Yeah.
would, you would see as that little kid, and like it would always off the whatever. And like a common place they saw it was like the shower, like get out of the shower.
Yeah.
I think there was at least 2 instances where it was on the peripheral, but I was like, nah, whatever, dude. They just put it in my head.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
That's trippy, man. You're out of all the people I've asked that question to, everyone's a hard no. You're the only one that's actually been like,
So
maybe I think so.
I want to say no, but like I can't not be honest. Be like, I did like there was something, but like it was probably they if I would have seen it before they mentioned anything,
Yeah, yeah,
and
it would have been
then
nothing.
I was like, oh shit, like that would have been like you people can like they can suggest things, suggested
Yeah,
memory, things like that. So
yeah,
like
definitely.
yeah, I the answer is yes, but there's some context around it.
All right, all right. Number 8, and I feel like you've kind of, I kind of feel like I know your answer here. What's the best way to deal with failure?
Fucking you can have your feels for like a day or whatever. It's going to be there, but you need to turn the feels into motivation, because failure is not failure unless you quit.
Hmm.
Look at failure like when you're playing video games. You put the video game in for the first time, or now you download everything, I guess. I'm dating
Yeah.
myself. You blow in the cartridge.
2021, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But like you put in the first time you play. Do you beat the whole game without dying the first time?
Oh no.
No. So like every death is a failure. Do you cry about it? Do you give up? Video games are stupid.
Yeah.
I'm never doing that again. What a waste of time and energy. No, you just fucking hit reset, or you get another life, or do whatever. You just keep playing until you figure out the timing and you kill the dragon and get the princess or whatever.
Yeah, man. I gotta explain to my boy how I didn't have save spots, in the middle of my game, and we
Yeah,
lost, man. I had to
the
start
whole thing.
all over again.
Oh, I think I broke my Sega playing Kung Fu. So I
Yeah,
like hit the reset button too hard.
it was rough. Growing up back then, it was rough. All right, number 9 is a two-part question. Your favorite fighter of all time, any discipline, any martial art, and would you fight him? Prime versus Prime. Would you fight him or her? One to the one.
I was a big fan of Igor Vochanchin.
Hmm.
He was just fun to watch. I don't know if I'd want to fight him. I'm as
Okay.
big as him now, I think.
Yeah.
But man, dude hit hard.
Okay.
No.
All right. The last one and probably the most controversial. Uh, Pineapples on pizza. Do they belong? Do they not belong?
So
Hot
I'm
mess.
open. I can deal. I'm open to all kinds of different stuff.
Yeah, I've
Uh,
hit a point. I really don't care what goes on it. You know.
yeah, I like trying different things because I'm really strict. I've been eating the same meal plan. I weigh my shit out. Like I've been doing that for a long time. So like cheat meals, it's like game on, man.
Yeah, whatever
I
you
want
got for me,
bring
just give it
bring
to
the
me.
flavor. Bring the flavor. You know,
That's beautiful,
I'm
man.
used
I
like
will.
90% of the time I'm eating a bowl of ground meat.
Geez, yeah. It sounds terrible, man, but I know it's probably better for
I
you, right?
mean, it's I portion out my meals so I know exactly how much food I'm buying and whatever. I'm not wasting any. And then I don't snack extra because I'm eating in the schedule. But then I'm healthier, and because I'm healthier, that means I can fuck it up way more on the cheat meals.
Yeah.
You
All right.
know?
Well, we come to the end of the interview, and usually what I like to do at the end is I like to give you the floor, let you plug whatever it is you want to plug, whether it be your Stones, whether it be the podcast, anything you want the people to know, brother. Let them know.
Yeah. Yeah. Go to johnfitch.net. You can sign up for the newsletter. You'll hear about all the stuff I'm up to. I've got my Jon Fitch Knows Nothing podcast, Jon Fitch Smash Instagram. Just, yeah, everything is linked to the website. Check it out. You can see everything I'm doing. I got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, you got the weight cut
Almost,
book
almost too
out
much.
there, which is extremely important. I would think so.
2 books. I need to
Um,
get some blogs going on. I do a few different I do my podcast, and I have a couple other podcasts that I do also here and there. Well, actually, yeah, I got a lot of stuff going on. Almost too
all right.
much. I need to, like laser focus some more stuff.
Okay. Yeah, man. Well, it's always good to see you busy, brother. I love following, and especially with the Instagram, and I'll definitely start listening to the podcast. But it was just an absolute pleasure for you to agree to do this and to have you on, man. I hope you had fun. Definitely was great kind of getting to know who you are as a person and just seeing everything you had to put into getting to where you are today, brother. So I appreciate it, guys. Mr. Jon Fitch, thank you again, sir.
Having me. Take it easy.
All right, brother. You too.